You've been carrying wisdom like a loaded page, years of miles, scars, lesson engraved. You did the work, you earned the view, but the numbers haven't followed you. You've got stories worth more than likes, vision sharper than a million mics. It's not about grinding louder now, it's time to change the how. You don't need another hustle plan, you need a signal people understand. Build a brand that works as hard as you. Let your truth turn into...
Build a brand that works as hard as you. We got our guests swaying around, which is indicative that that song has a little bit of energy. And if you hear all the lyrics, it just fits so well with this storytelling journey. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Storytelling Journey. My co-host Jay Pasqua, and our guest today is Heike Human. How you doing, Heike?
I am fabulous. I hope everyone else is too.
Well, it is hot in some parts of the country. It is hazy and smoggy in other parts of the country. So I'm sure there's varying opinions as to how people are doing. My thoughts and prayers go out to those who are in the fire regions and are being impacted and being displaced. I'm sure there's going to be some wonderful stories that are going to come out of that, and some not so wonderful stories that people will share with us. But we look forward to the next hour. We're going to talk a little bit about being invisible and moving and shifting and becoming influential. And you are the expert around that space on LinkedIn. I'm going to give my co-host an opportunity to introduce himself. Jay, how you doing?
Doing good, Mirko. So, Jay Pasquale, storytelling strategist. I come on here just to lend a little bit of my insight on storytelling strategies. And I really am excited to hear the strategies that our guest is going to provide to us today. I don't think we're too out of alignment. So, I'm just going to shut up now so I can let her say everything.
well, why don't we kick this off with a story? Let's hear a little bit about Heike's narrative. A little girl from Germany who makes her way over to North America and becomes the visibility specialist over on LinkedIn. Heike, over to you.
How did that happen? Oh my gosh. Little girl. Well, I was tall from the start, but that's a different story.
Young girl. How's that? Young.
Yeah. Almost 6 feet. I came over here because I wanted to study English and not have that as my major. And then I wanted to be a journalist, but that didn't work out. The teachers weren't quite the right fit. And I ended up going to eventually business school and had a career in business until that was no longer a fit. And then I decided to become an entrepreneur. And from the start, used LinkedIn seminars as a marketing tool and always connected in-person networking with, okay, let's connect on LinkedIn. So from the start, I started growing my network, and that's been 13 years now.
That is fabulous. And we're going to pause here for a second because Jay and I talk about miraculous things that happen that bring our guests into our narratives in our lives seamlessly and unrehearsed. You said journalism. And Jay is a former journalist, and there's always some connection, some ties to who we are, what we've been, what we're doing that brings us together and just meshes in so well.
Well, let me throw in another one. My undergraduate major was Spanish.
All right.
Fit.
Almost. I'm a Portuguese national, so just
Close.
south of Spain. So close geography.
So you're not going to believe this. So one of my early mentors, her name was Karen. Her name is Karen Hotley, and Karen is from Germany.
Oh.
She traveled to the United States, lived in Florida for a little bit, and then got a job in Guam as a journalist with
Oh.
her then, I believe, fiance and then husband. She's back in Germany. She's a journalist, producer there, but she was a young reporter, and I was nothing but 19 years old, straight out of high school, and she was really very helpful to me, learning how to do a lot of the work behind the scenes as a journalist on TV. So, yeah, the minute you said all of the things, I was like, oh, wow.
And that actually still comes in handy because I've just recently started doing LinkedIn Lives, and I tend to be the interviewer. So I really enjoy asking the questions.
Oh, yeah.
And some people do. Listen, that is a strategy. We might even take some time throughout the conversation to talk about that, because there's a strategy where you can just be a guest and you can still build content, you can still build trust, and there's nothing wrong with a guesting strategy. Not everyone wants to be a host, not everyone wants to build a stage and produce these events, but there are ways around getting on camera, getting onto live events, and guesting is a fabulous way to do it. Now, you've spent time across different verticals. You've been in the corporate space, you've been in small business environments, and now an entrepreneur. Throughout those stages, is there anything in those chapters of your life that, when you couple it all together, makes you who you are? I'm sure we can spend hours talking about that.
Well, the through line is marketing, right? You have to be seen in order for you to sell anything, really. You can't be sitting in a box at home and with a bag over your head and try to sell anything. That's kind of hard to do. I'm sure some people manage, but for most, you have to be visible, and that's really the through line with it. Yeah.
How about the through line through storytelling? We're going to dive into LinkedIn in more detail, but storytelling and visibility to the finer skills that many professionals, many experts try to coach, sell, to help people gain that visibility. There's the stories that we hear some of the gurus share with us. Here's what you should be doing. And then there's the stories that we want to share, but we feel too vulnerable, and we'll jump into that in just a moment. But LinkedIn, 2026, every year someone will say, well, it's 2025. It's been a horrible year. We're now in 2026. Oh my goodness, this algorithm is just doing something to me. And hey, I sit in a similar predicament, and I'm here trying to help people gain visibility. And I advocate for live content and repurposing and redistributing live assets, so that we can gain not only visibility, but discoverability. We want people not only to be found in the ecosystem in which they're showing up, but outside those ecosystems. We want to now align with AI and be part of those agentic searches and be found outside of the algorithms that we have a tendency of chasing and conforming to, right? For me, it's all about, forget about the platform. Sure, it's got a lot of value. Carries a lot of weight when it comes to getting your content crawled, but that content's got to be good content,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to be discovered and people are just going to roll their eyes and say, yeah, well,
Yeah, no.
this means nothing to me. You haven't given me enough reason to say that you are the authority figure
Right.
that I want to work with. We have Nicole, who's joining us in the audience as well. So why don't we take a moment here to welcome those who are joining us live. If you have questions, feel free, drop them in the comments, and if we have time, we'll have an opportunity for Q&A and invite people to come up on stage if you want to ask Heike a question. All right, so LinkedIn. Let's have that icebreaker question. What are your thoughts on what's going on? Let's just start wherever you want to start, and I will kind of navigate from there.
Oh gosh. You can't narrow that down. No, just kidding. What's going on is LinkedIn continues to grow based on more and more people signing up, but it's also losing a lot of people because they come, they try it, and then they leave because they haven't gotten the right help to figure it out. And that's unfortunate because it can be a gold mine in terms of research. If you think about it, it's not social media, it's a search engine for people. And when you're in business, or for that matter, if you are climbing the corporate ladder, you need to be found in order to be recognized for your skills and expertise, which will then open doors. So giving up on LinkedIn is something I would not advise.
It's like throwing your big, bulky yellow pages into the fire.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
burning opportunities.
Right. You're burning up.
No pun intended, as people are fighting fires out there.
Yeah.
But Jay, storytelling. We talk about storytelling and the importance of storytelling. So many people go on, and I was one of those people who found it very difficult to bring personal life stories into LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And some people advocate for, hey, you got to be able to demonstrate who you are as a person and not just as a professional. And you have to be able to spend some time just being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, there was a difficulty. It's like, hey, this is a business platform, this is a networking platform, and I don't want people to see a side of me that shouldn't exist here.
Mm-hmm.
But then that raises questions on its own. It's like, why do you need to be two different people showing up with different personas on different platforms? And that's when the lights came on, and it's like, wow, here I am competing, creating LinkedIn content and competing with myself, trying to be something that I want people to recognize me for, only to realize that the personality was missing, and that was costing me opportunities. So it's building a storyline and a narrative and sharing the different chapters of your professional career, of your business career, and of your personal life. That has an extreme value here on LinkedIn. Jay, Heike, I'm going to pause here and let you two talk about the importance of storytelling on LinkedIn.
So I'm going to go back to my newspaper days. Whew, and it's I was born in the 1900s, so it we got to go back in time, showing my age here. But in the newspaper days, the masthead, right, was important. And you really only had a finite amount of space to say the thing to get the audience to open the rest of that newspaper. And so in LinkedIn, it's the same thing. You've got that masthead at the top on your profile, and it's got to say the things that will attract people to you, to your profile, to open up the rest of what's on your page, on what you can provide in the way of services or insights or anything that would be beneficial to them and to you. So if we just look at it from that perspective, right, you have to have something that will grab somebody's attention, the audience you want, and then once they're there, you've got to provide value to them. And that's what the newspaper used to hold. When you open those pages, they needed to have value to stay in those pages. So the same thing is still true today, right? For people either wanting to partner with another business or wanting that next career step. So it's the things haven't changed in the way of reaching out to an audience, but the platform may, right? The platform has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's something that we need to consider, especially those of us in the 50 and above range.
Well, I'm in that club too, so it's not that bad a group of people to be in, right?
No.
A lot of quality here. Yeah, absolutely agree with you, Jay. The masthead is your headline. It's what's right underneath your name, and most people completely underestimate the value of it. It is one of the most important parts of your online real estate on LinkedIn for LinkedIn to determine whether to bring you up in someone else's search results or not. And then it's the first impression that travels with you across the platform, because what people see is usually headshot and name, or headshot, name, and headline. And you have to get that headline right in order to get people to click on that information and see if there's more that they want to read about you. So absolutely. And it has to be a bit of a story, even though it's limited space. It can't just be a string of keywords. That might feed the algorithm, but it won't win over the reader.
Yeah, and that carries and follows you outside into different domains. So if we were to do a browser-based search or an AI-based search, that headline follows you along with your tagline. You're not just your name, but those first, I can't remember how many characters it is, they follow you.
Yeah, it's 210 and sometimes 220. Yeah, absolutely follows you around. And that touches on a different subject. There are settings within LinkedIn that allow you to have your profile visible on search engines. And a lot of people turn those off. So if somebody looks for your name on Google because you met them at a networking event and those settings are shut off, they can't find you.
Yeah.
While your profile might rank higher than your own website if you had them turned on. So.
Yeah, some people get all fixated on privacy. Listen, we can talk privacy all we want. That could be a separate show on its own. People will find what they can. So if you're blocking your LinkedIn visibility, they're going to find something else about you. And wouldn't you rather have them find what's on LinkedIn because it has better ranking authority than what they're going to find on TikTok or Facebook, which may or may not be as relevant? You want to get all that relevant and juicy stuff in front of people. And
right.
I totally agree.
And it might not be stuff they find about you, especially if you have a more common name. So they might find your competition, and then you're out of the picture.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, that's
to have those settings turned to public.
It is extremely important. And here's another reason that I tell those who I work with. It's not just the content that we upload. It's great. We can post content all we want, but it's opportunities like the one we're immersed in right now, where we're going to get cited and we're going to get mentioned. And it's not content that you yourself put up. It's content that a third party puts up. And that in itself has more authority because it's now a third party who is going to be sharing highlights from this conversation. So it gives you and it gives anyone. And we talked moments ago about just having a guest speaking strategy for that exact reason. You want to be able to jump on different platforms, different domains, and align yourself. Don't just show up and guest on something that you don't believe in or doesn't align with who you are or has very little relevancy. but the value, like everyone's talking about visibility, but it's more than visibility. It's about earning trust. And let's be honest with each other. People may not trust us if all they're seeing is our content where we're tooting our own horns. You got
Right.
to be able to give something that's viable, tangible, that they can sink their teeth in,
Mhm.
that you yourself aren't just broadcasting someone else's.
Absolutely. And where that actually ties into your LinkedIn profile is the recommendation section. LinkedIn wants you to have at least 3 recommendations that you've received. Preferably, you also want to give some, but that sets you apart from your competition. Again, it's, do you believe someone who touts their own accomplishments, or the person that has 3, 5, 10 recommendations to go with their accomplishments, where the person's who's recommending you shows their face, their name, their title, to lend you their credibility? It's incredibly important.
Now, Jay, I really want to hear your insight and your thought on this because just earlier today, I came across a comment, and I advocate for this all the time. Turn every conversation into content. Someone leaves you a review, build it into your narrative, build it into your storyline, and share that and broadcast that. Make that part of your story. Because now, to the points that we're trying to make here, it's now coming from a third party, a viable person who has now trusted you enough to share positive sentiment, and now you can share that with others without relying on them going to the source to read the review.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go again back to uh, old school journalism. There was a thing that a lot of uh, TV broadcasters used to do back in the day, and that was the MOS. And if you don't know what that is, that's the man on the street. And so we may have a headline, right, that says something about the fires. The fires are growing in nature just because of what's happening out there. And is it impacting us ecologically negatively or positively? And let's go to the streets, right? And we, as journalists, right, telling the story just from a point of view that's giving information, you know, we can say all we want, but coming from the people who are being impacted by those things, it lends credibility to the story that you're telling, right? You could say that it is having a negative impact, that, hundreds of people are being displaced, animals are dying, right? Whole ecosystems are being wiped out. And then on the other side, somebody could say, well, actually, this is part of nature. There's going to be renewal after this. Plants and animals are going to be coming back, much more abundantly because we've wiped out also, non-invasive species. So there's going to be a bunch of things that are going to be discussed. But, I think there's somebody in the media in years past that used to say, but you don't have to take my word for it, right? LeVar Burton, when he was, on Reading Rainbow, pitching books to kids, he would say that all the time. He would say, I love this book. It's a great book, but you don't have to take my word for it. And he would cut to, other kids reading the same story or saying, oh, I read the book. It was great. It was wonderful. I loved it, right? The same thing is true for anyone looking from the outside into the story or from the inside going, oh, wait a minute. It just lends credibility. I could say, I'm a wonderful storyteller. but, but if there's nobody to back it up and say, yeah, he's great, then, I'm just a guy saying stuff. Really.
So before we break into answering the question that I've left up from Nick, I think the question before that, which would very likely be a great segue, Why do so many people who remain invisible have all this talent, have all this experience? Why are they still struggling?
Well, because they're not willing to be visible. One of the biggest objections I hear on a regular basis about getting on LinkedIn is, I hate social media, or I'm a private person. I don't want to share anything about myself. So when I coach someone who comes from that place, the first thing we have to work on is mindset. You don't have to share your birthday, the names of your kids, or, things you discuss at home. That's not what the point is of this platform. It is to showcase you as a professional. And then over time, if you warm up, yeah, you can add more of the personal in, but most people start with the professional side, which you need to have out there anyway. No matter if you are a coach, a speaker, an entrepreneur, solopreneur, or is someone who runs a Fortune 500 company, you need to get your name out there and be known for something, some specialty, some product or service excellence that people want. But that by itself, if you do not broadcast it, if you don't get the news out about it, you are limiting your exposure, and you are not doing your audience or your potential audience a favor, because by withholding your presence out on this platform, or other platforms for that matter, you are preventing them from taking advantage of what you bring to this world. And there's only one of you. So you're here for a reason. People want to know about this reason. You have to get it out there.
Oh man, you're getting me all fired up. Yeah, I now have questions that are coming to me. That hey, let's start with the social selling index. I've always looked at it as a gamification component on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It has and carries more weight, I'm told, for those who have Sales Navigator memberships. But otherwise, it is just a gauge. And in fact, it's been taken down, and only people with Sales Navigator now have access to it.
Yeah, I would not buy Sales Navigator just for that.
Yeah,
Access to that. It's not that important. It gives you some guidelines or some direction on where maybe you need to pick up the slack a bit. But you can have a successful presence on LinkedIn without knowing your scores, by just being consistent, being visible, and being you. Don't try to be someone else. That doesn't work anyway. And people pick up on it. But be you, show your brilliance, show your expertise, and build relationships. It's not just about gathering more and more connections and then never talking to them. That is helpful a little bit in terms of reach, but that's really not where the power comes from. The power is from building relationships over time. And that starts with the very first contact, with how you invite someone or how you respond to an invite when you accept it. My policy is to, when I accept an invite, to always send a message back. Does that mean I get a reply every time? No, absolutely not. But that message has to go out to start that conversation, because without it, yeah, we're just numbers to each other.
Yeah. And there was a point in time where the message was grow your following. The bigger your following, the better results you're going to have. And I now find myself once a week cleaning up, and I've removed well over 4,000 people just to be relevant to those who are important. And LinkedIn, when it introduced 360 Brew and this whole new AI driven algorithm, they told us specifically, pick a lane and stay in it, and you'll do well. Now I've picked that lane, I'm in it, but those who I'm driving by shouldn't be in that lane. So it's okay to relinquish some of your following, because it's going to benefit you. So if you're
Mhm.
struggling, don't be afraid. There's no hard feelings. I look at my follower count. It almost reads like an ECG chart now, because it goes up and it goes down, and it goes up and it goes down. Uh, but with that comes authenticity. You want to be true to yourself, and we hear so often about personal branding and what that should mean to you. Let's pause here for a moment and talk about what it means to be authentic, and how that helps or hinders your personal brand.
Right, right. And yeah, there is a reason for having certain quantities. I just spoke with someone. We wanted to do a LinkedIn live on her platform, and we couldn't because she does not have enough followers to even qualify. But on the other hand, yeah, you do not need 30,000 connections, which is LinkedIn's max, in order to be successful with your marketing activities on LinkedIn.
Jay,
Man, I wanted to jump in a while ago.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I think going back to what we were saying earlier, you don't have to, and this is what I used to say at the call center when my agents were interacting with customers. I said, hey, listen, you don't have to get personal. You can be personable, right? I need to hear who you are on this call so that the customer hears you coming through the call, right? They need to know that there's a human being on the other side who cares. You can't do that if you have no personality. You don't give any sort of empathy statements. You don't sound like you care, right? These are things that partners or potential partners are looking for. These are things that potential, bosses, companies that are trying to hire you, this is what they're looking for. And so when you don't have those things out there, guess what? They're going to look for it. And I'll give you a prime example. I'm looking for a new assistant at the conservation park today, right? We had a panel of people, that my coworkers, interviewing people. And when the gentleman left, this is what one of my coworkers said. Hey, why don't we look up Facebook and see what's out there? I was like, see, you may not want your business out there, but this is the day and age of the internet and of now AI. And guess what? We're going to go look for it, right? If we're going to hire you, if we're going to work with you in the future as a business partner, we're going to scrub the internet for stuff. And so why not be proactive and put the things out there that you want them to know about you? Don't give it to them to go, hey, go look at this, right? And then they're going down a rabbit hole of stuff that they don't really need to do.
Right.
Right. So take control.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
So I left Nick's question up, or comment. She thinks that one of the things that can be done better is circulating within other communities. So we talk about reach. Engagement is down, but reach is so valuable. And I'm
Mhm.
starting to see a shift. And LinkedIn has now included a new metric where you can see where your reach is getting to. And
Mhm.
it splits the percentage of community members versus outside community.
Mhm.
And do we know it well enough to talk about what the best practices are and where you want to find yourself? Is it a 50-50 split where your community sees it as well, and then 50% of all your impressions and visibility comes from outside? Or is the intention, or do we even know yet, is the intention to move everyone or as many people to from outside your community to see your content?
I
Any
think that's
insight?
the individualized strategy. If you have a well curated community and it's large enough, you may very well decide to stay within that community. But that said, you're still going to get exposure to other people if you post, if you comment, if you engage in conversation, because other people will translate your message into their communities. So some of it can be intentional in that you interact with others, but some of it is how LinkedIn is built, that your community takes your message elsewhere. So it goes both ways. I wouldn't put a percentage, desirable percentage on any of them. LinkedIn wants you to stay. They want people to have communication and relationships, which is why they've downgraded when people leave comments like, great post, looking for the next one. They don't want that. They're specifically looking for quality content, for comments that contribute to the conversation. That's really where LinkedIn's strategy is going. They want quality. And so do you want to aim for such a percentage within your community or outside? I'm not sure to what extent you can at this point control it. It would take a lot of effort, but just stick with the conversations. You want to be personable and you want to communicate. Don't drop posts and leave. That is not what the algorithm is going to appreciate. So
is it true this golden hour that people used to refer to, is that still something that exists? You got
yes,
to be active prior and post.
preferably yes, but do you have to all the time? No. I mean, you do not have to set your clock around whenever you post as a standard. Can you get more reach that way? Yes. Do you have to? No, because LinkedIn will show your posts to your community for up to a week. And based on interactions during that week, you may or may not get additional exposure. So it comes back to the quality. What is it you post? What do you write about? And how well do you write? So
Great segue. I'm going to lean into it and take the opportunity. So what separates a good LinkedIn profile from those who get ignored? And how do we attract those opportunities when we are getting ignored?
well, part of it is the storytelling that Jay alluded to, and it has to go throughout. It can't just be the headline. That's a good start, but it has to continue throughout the profile, which needs to be filled out. You can't just rely on having a lengthy about section and then in experience, all you list as employers and titles. That's just not enough. So you really want some storytelling throughout. You need to have some keywords to be found. One thing that I keep harping on is doing something strategically with the banner, that horizontal space at the top of your profile, which a lot of people either make just an image or leave that 3 shades of gray. There's a strategy behind what to put in it and what not. And hint, you do not need your name in it, and you do not need your company name in it. That's not what's going to help you get found or help people to decide whether to work with you or not. So it's storytelling, and then it's interaction. As I said before, you can't just build a profile and leave. That's going to help you for a week or two, and then LinkedIn's going to go, well, they've left. So when I look at a profile and the activity says last activity 8 months ago, that already makes me think they're not really here. Right? But if you show up and you message behind the scenes, at some point, you're still going to do something on the public space.
But close to 3 billion, if not surpassed 3 billion members globally. Only 1% of people and members contribute as content creators.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of inactive people who have wonderful stories to share, but have different opinions, whether I don't have time for this, or they're guilty of saying only jumping in when they need a new job or when they need someone to help them find their next opportunity, their next project, their next client.
Or they're just researching, or they're just taking their introversion to another level. So I have a platform where I am just a lurker. I just go there to read because that's my station for tuning out. Don't underestimate, though, what can happen with the people that watch you over time.
Yes.
They may not comment, they may not hit that like button, but you may be building clients by continuing to show up. That may not show up tomorrow, that may contact you a week, a month, a year from now. If you stick to your brand, stick to consistent exposure, there are clients waiting to feel comfortable enough to reach out to you.
Let's
So
hear it, Jay.
yeah, I'm going to jump in a little bit here about it's something you said earlier. You know, the banner placement, things like that. It's prime space, right? Imagine having a penthouse, right, in Manhattan. Not just a penthouse in Manhattan, but overlooking the park, right? Central Park at it, right? And then you put up blinds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your guests come in and they look and they see these wonderful blinds, but they don't see the skyline. They don't see the park, right? Essentially, what you're doing is you're putting up blinds when you put up stuff that doesn't really provide value. So when you just put up your company name and your name, you're basically wasting space. Don't do that. Provide value, put in content, put in things that people are going to want to go, oh, wait, look, what else is there? Let me see. Let me follow through, right? Let me go into his actual profile and see, or her profile. And I think that's important. The other thing about using up space that's prime, I use every bit of it. Let me tell you, even the part where it tells you how to pronounce your name. Now, you may have a name like Smith. Use it. Let me tell you. And what I did was I put in a little message about storytelling strategies and my name.
30 seconds.
Right.
Absolutely.
Use every bit of the space to your advantage, provide value, right? Something that would not just trigger somebody's attention, but also keep their attention. Keeping their attention is the second part of that. And I think the more valuable part of it, to be able to get them to really engage with you.
Absolutely.
Hey, let's talk about engagement, but more importantly, let's talk about authenticity. We hear so often, just be yourself, be present. Don't worry about being polished. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just show up, and your tribe will find you, or your message will land with those who resonate with what you have to say. And then there's this new movement that LinkedIn wants to monetize pretty much everything, and rightfully so. They have boardroom discussions and trying to figure out how can we squeeze another dollar from our members. And now there's LinkedIn boosts. Hey, you want me to be vulnerable? You want me to be authentic? And then the algorithm kind of points out, hey, here's a good piece. Here's a good piece of content. It meets the requirements that would do well. And all of a sudden, hey, they're giving you indication. Here's an opportunity. Would you like to boost this? I'd have to agree with Nicole. I think it's comical. I understand it. Every platform is doing it, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that LinkedIn is looking for us to pay for visibility. What are your thoughts on this whole boost era on LinkedIn?
Well, if you have the budget, you might as well try it. Just make sure that your messaging is on point and that your profile is built out properly. I have clients regularly that ask me, well, should I buy into an upgrade, which is kind of the same thing. It's, an upgrade for the profile instead of an upgrade or a boost for your post. And I'm like, yeah, you can, but let's fix your profile first. So it goes along with that. You can boost a post, but if your profile doesn't get the message across, that boost isn't helping you a whole lot. It might turn people away.
Yeah.
So, or it might leave them confused and go, I don't know what this has to do with this profile. So use with caution, use sparingly. But if you have the budget and you've got your stuff built out, then by all means, go for it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, so I just saw something recently, and it was the company Workday. Now, Workday has a relationship with LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what they were talking about. There was constant chatter on LinkedIn about LinkedIn superstars. So Workday went, how can we capitalize on this? And so what they did was they hired, the lead singer to Kiss and Billy Idol. And they made LinkedIn profiles for them and put them out there, and then had live events where Billy Idol and, what's his name? The lead singer to Kiss just engage with the audiences. And then they went really crazy and did commercials based off of the LinkedIn superstar moniker. And they said, really? You're a superstar? I'm Billy Idol, right?
I love that marketing campaign. I got to tell you, it was one of the best marketing campaigns in years.
I thought it was great. And to see the rebel who yelled in a suit and tie, or at least a checkered shirt and tie, I was like, and his hair combed over and not spiked. I was like, what? Man, that's crazy. But I'm saying this because even though it's funny, right? Yes, it is comical, right? That every part of this platform can be monetized, including your posts.
Yeah.
But let's take advantage of it. And I'm going to look to Alex Hermosi, young guy, built a bunch of gyms, then sold it, then went into another part of. Anyway, this guy's leaning into being a billionaire soon, right? Mm-hmm. He's got millions of dollars now. Great guy. But what he said was this: if you have the budget and you do an ad and that ad is working, do more.
Yeah.
Do more. Right. Now, if you don't have the budget and you're doing this organically and you're being there every once in a while, but your posts are hitting, people are engaging, you're getting a lot of, responses, feedback, the same advice is true. Do more.
Yeah.
Do more, and do more of the ones that work.
Mm-hmm.
The things that people are going to engage with that you've had in the past, do that again. Mm-hmm. And do it consistently, like our nice guest has said.
So what happens to those who have been absent for a long time and are now coming back? They're listening to this on replay, and they're that one person who hasn't updated their profile in years. Where do they begin?
Right at the top. Start with the headline. A little story. I help who to do what, with or without what, for what result, right? So instead of title and company or a bunch of keywords, tell people why they should read more about you and potentially reach out to you. And then just kind of build it out over time. Building out an entire profile in one sitting, that can be tough. But
and foolish.
yeah, build it out over time and don't be afraid to change it. I change my banner regularly. I change my about section, or at least parts of it regularly. Well, part of it is because I put events in it. Like I just listed a new LinkedIn banner webinar. But yeah, change it up. You are in the corporate world. You have a new accomplishment. You've just won an award. Add it to your profile. And keep the activity going. I mean, when I start with a client that's basically starting over on LinkedIn, I suggest to reach out to one person to connect a day for a week, then make it 2, and build out, a section by section. And we work through that over time. But yeah, start with the headline, really put some thought into that. And then whatever doesn't fit there may or may not go in the banner. And do write it and write your profile in first person. This is not a space for a third person press release, right? Heike is known for this. No, I did this. I can help you with this. So just some starter tips.
I'm going to do something here real quick. What do you see?
A knife.
Right. Ain't this crazy? Let me pull out a little bit.
It's all about perspective.
Exactly, Heike. Thank you. That's right. It's
awesome.
all about perspective. You can, if people don't see it though, if they don't look at you and go, hey, what's this all about, right? If I don't get it, I don't have a perspective of what you're going to be able to provide value for me. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Since we're talking about marketing, right? Let's talk about Forbes. And I'm not talking about the magazine. I'm talking about the pitch queen, Forbes.
Oh, Forbes Riley. Yeah.
Yes. So Forbes Riley is great. Now, she always says when you talk about what you do, start with what they need, right? Yep. Because nobody cares about what you do. Right. What does that have to do with me? I don't care, right? But if you start with, hey, people are so afraid because they don't know the story that they have inside them can impact audiences. I help them find that story. And then people go, really? How do you do that? Yeah. You have them engaged. So if you put out there what you can do to help people first, they're going to go, really? How does he do that? And then they're going to look. Yeah. Then they're going to see. Right. So draw them in, but like Heike was saying earlier as well, keep them there with the content that you provide that's going to help them really see the value in what you bring.
Right.
Now, the other thing I want to say to that, just real briefly here, is don't be afraid to give them everything. People have a tendency to go, oh man, that's the secret sauce. I'm not going to let this go unless they become my client. Right. But if you go out there and you look at a lot of the gurus and you see what they do, and you finally get into one of their, secret sauce webinars, the same thing that they've been saying in public is the same thing they'll be saying in those webinars. So really, it's just putting it in a package for somebody to consume at a later time. You can put that out there in a little blurb on LinkedIn, keep them there for that, and then go, hey, for more, join my webinar July 22nd. See you there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now mine's on the 24th, just so you know.
All right. So Here, here's a question that many people are asking. I too asked at one point, and now I've kind of stepped away. But there are millions of members here on the platform
Mhm.
who are sharing their story. But there's mixed opinions on whether or not different personas and different stories can coexist on this platform. If you're a job seeker, can you be a job seeker and have a side hustle and talk about both? How do HR recruiters go looking? What kind of judgment is going on? It's like, well, this person runs their own business. They're talking about their business. Seems like this might be a problem if we onboard and bring someone whose priority may not be our organization. So, can multiple personas exist in a LinkedIn profile? Because we know we can't have multiple profiles.
Yes, yes, you do not want multiple profiles. Yes, and you have to be judicious about it and prioritize one. So not a 50-50 split. Prioritize the one that you currently need to prioritize. So if you're in job search, then job search has to come first. You can still have a mention of your consulting business or freelance business in the experience, but focus on sharing your expertise. And hopefully that'll straddle both spheres. If it doesn't, you can mix it up. Just like people throw in an announcement about, they've been absent because of an illness or taking care of an aging parent or something. You can mix it up. And that's really an individual decision. How much do you want to share one or the other? As to the hiring managers, well, that varies too. Some people appreciate an entrepreneurial spirit because you have the entrepreneur and you have the intrapreneur. In other words, somebody who can launch a new project inside a larger organization. So they may appreciate the entrepreneurship while somebody at a smaller company might not. So that will tell you something about your cultural fit if you're interviewing and that comes up as a potential issue. Because the interviews are a two-way street.
So, and I'm going to go back to my experience here recently. We're looking for my next assistant. There's a person who retired, right? And but they're still running their business, so to speak, from the sideline, and they want to, go back in and still contribute to something that they believe is an important thing to do, is take care of the land, be a steward of the land.
Yeah.
And then going back to those of the 50 and older or 40 and over age, right, who have been operations managers, who've helped build businesses from the ground up and still want to contribute to the workforce.
Absolutely.
Those guys, I would tell you, and hiring managers will tell you themselves, that there's your C-suite. Those guys, right? Some of the ones who are actually on boards serving, in a mini capacity, right? And every once in a while, they have nuggets to give during the board meeting. There's your CEO. And a lot of them, as entrepreneurs, right, still want to contribute. And that's why they join boards in the first place, right? They still want to contribute. Some of them, if you tap them on the shoulder, say, hey, would you like to be our CEO? Man, you've got a great resume. You're already on the board. Maybe relinquish your board, seat and then come join us as the CEO. These are the things, when you get up in that range and that age, right, you can say yes or no to. But it's up to the person, right?
Yeah.
If you are an entrepreneur, I don't see it. And I asked the question myself recently in another podcast. I don't see it now as a deterrent or something that's bad optics. If you're currently an entrepreneur, you've got your side hustle,
Mhm.
but somebody says, hey man, I seen what you do. I saw your resume on LinkedIn. Why don't you come join us as our CEO or CO or whatever?
Yeah.
It's not as bad as what people make it out to be. It can actually be something that's beneficial to you and you don't even know it because you're not putting yourself out there.
Right, right. I have a story with that, and we didn't discuss this, but I call myself a LinkedIn visibility strategist and career transition coach. So I actually help people with those transitions. So I had a client in the IT space who wanted to find a new role and wasn't sure if he should put one of those older programming languages on his resume and on LinkedIn. It was COBOL. Um, I'm not an expert on programming languages, but apparently it's not really in use a lot anymore. And we decided that, yes, it's an extra part to his expertise and to the puzzle of who he is. And he landed his next job because of that skill, because he was hired for a large school district, part of which had been converted to newer software, but part of which still used the old. So people now often cut off their resumes after 10, 15 years, but that may or may not help you necessarily. Is there age discrimination? Absolutely. But there are positions where that expertise is valued. And so you have to decide where you want to land and whether you have the guts to share what you bring to the table.
Hey, if anyone needs someone with Lotus 1, 2, 3 skills, reach out. Give me a call.
There you go.
That's fabulous. Well, we're at the top of the hour, and I always pause and ask if we're okay for time. I have a couple more questions before I wrap up. There's actually more questions, but two important ones that I want us to close off with. We started off and we talked about building vulnerability into the conversation, so
Mhm.
I don't want to leave vulnerability out. What does the role of vulnerability play in trust building online today?
It shows that you're genuine. What popped into my head was listening to someone on a stage who is telling a story, right, Jay? And in the process of telling the story, tears up or has a frog in their throat because of emotion. That is endearing. That is something you cannot fake. And that genuine expression of feeling, that makes you human. Right now, we're all fighting to be human versus AI because you can't tell anymore whose picture is real or AI created, whose content is real or AI created. That emotion, that genuine care, that still sets us apart as human. And you can bring that through in text format too. You can share something that moved you in your own words. Don't use AI. And that makes you more attractive than the person who's just plastic. You don't just want to be fake around people. It doesn't fly.
People are craving this. There's a real hunger and an appetite for authenticity. It's not just a word that becomes built in to our content and then attached and stitched to an AI generated video.
Yes.
I test all the time so that when people ask me, I will create AI generated clips on YouTube
Mhm.
and compare them to real. And yeah, some of them take off, but for the most part, the AI generated stuff does not gain as much visibility
Mhm.
because I stand behind advocating for real time conversations, building a presence that is engaging and brings people together. Like today, we had members who are listening and they're asking questions. And this isn't over polished, super produced. And is there an opportunity for me to go back and edit it and polish it? Absolutely. But I choose not to. I will I will edit in terms of clips and get key moments from this conversation, but I will leave them as they are in their present state. I am not going to give it any additional polish, add technology to make it look overproduced because there's enough of that already. People want original, they want authentic, they want raw, and that's what I want to help people build so that when they're connecting with their communities, when they're connecting with their audience, this is now becoming the differentiator.
Yeah.
There was once a point where the differentiator was those who adopted and adapted to the technology, but the technology is moving so rapidly that people are being left behind and say, hey, what happened to the human touch? What happened to that human connection? We're now missing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to my best to keep that alive and help others rejuvenate and revive it. And it doesn't have to replace AI. AI is not going anywhere,
Yeah.
but you should have some kind of human element that supplements what's available and what technology has offered to us.
The human or the little fluff ball that keeps squirming on my lap. For those who notice and pop up, I figured I might as well bring him in full view, right?
It's fine. That's fine. That people have to realize, hey, we have lives outside of our podcasts.
Right.
But I think America, you're absolutely right. I think that's what people are craving for. Again, I'm going back to reading resumes now for assistants, right? And oh my gosh, talk about superstars, right? Like earlier, they look great on paper, but as soon as you get them in on an interview, they're like, I don't know. Like what? Wait a minute! It says here you had your own podcast and you had 3 million people view it. What? No, come on. And so these are the things you just have to be weary of at the moment, right? When in the age of AI. And you're right. I think that all of us, we're all kind of wondering, how do we maneuver through that? And really, it's looking for those people who are authentic, who will be vulnerable enough to share their story with you. And again, sharing your story doesn't have to mean you're going to share your personal, insights or sins even, right, with somebody who's your hiring manager. You can be personable. Hey, I'm from Guam. I love this weather that we're having. I know people in Canada, who are used to 50-degree weather, they're hating it. But right now, for me, it's great. I'm an islander. Or you could be, hey, I'm an islander and it's hot outside. And when I say it's hot, dude, it's hot. Right. So have a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Tell a story. It's going to be the differentiator. It's going to set you away from the other people who are reliant on AI to be that polished, next thing. Mm-hmm. That's not what people are looking for these days, I don't think. And I'm going through the motions at this very moment. I saw somebody today who said, yeah, I can't be in that back room slinging boxes off of a truck any longer. I've never done this before, and this is not what I signed up for. So I'm really looking for another job. And I appreciated that story because, I want to know, can you handle this? Can you handle the pressure? And did you read all the things in the role that was put out in an ad? Oh, yes, I'm ready for that. I wasn't ready for this. So you see,
Yeah.
these are the things that you need to consider while you're out there on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So here's the question that's going to take us home, because there's that whole mindset. Some refer to it as the imposter syndrome, but that I'm talking about a mindset that takes up space in our heads where we start to believe I'm not ready to share my story. It's not perfect. I got to get it to a place where it's got to be perfect before I publish it, before I post it. And I'm all about just be present. It's going to be clunky. It's going to be messy, but people will appreciate the progression. Those who want to invest in you and trust you will remind you, hey, I remember where you were a year ago when you did your first live, you had your first webinar, your first workshop. Man, was that something to learn from. But look at you today. Look at the progress you've made, and you've earned the trust. Let's give advice. Let's provide advice for those who are having difficulties uncovering their stories, and because it's your story that makes you unique. It's your story that's going to make you memorable. And how do we help? What advice can we give? And we'll wrap it up.
Sounds like that's one for Jay.
Okay. So and there's a there's a place that I used to visit to eat lunch, and I didn't want to go there in the beginning. I didn't want to go there because somebody handed me a menu, and they had pictures like on the menu, and it was just like a printout somebody did on an Epson 300, and they're like,
You're dating yourself again.
right. So here they are looking at everybody's looking at this menu, and I looked at the menu and I was like, man, this menu looks horrible. And but they had all the food that I wanted to eat, so I was like, you know what, I'm not doing anything for lunch today. I don't have to go on a meeting. I'm gonna go check this place out. Right. The fact that they took the time out to print this out, somebody handed it to me, it was word of mouth, and I went. Now, the menu looked horrible. The food I ate was phenomenal, right? The care that they took, the seasonings that were put into it. The thing about it is, the lady who was in the back, she had no time to put together a menu that was going to look phenomenal. Didn't have the time to go seek or the money to seek a marketing agency to put it out there. But she cooked her behind off to make the greatest food I had in a long time. And it was her son, who was still in high school, who printed this out in school so that his friends could have a menu. And the thing took off just because her son had the time to print this stuff out. It's not that you don't have the right seasoning or the right ingredients. You may have all of that. You just have to put it out there. That's the thing. Put it out there. And like Heike said, man, change that banner. If it's not hitting, if it's not grabbing the attention as much as you'd like, you've got one or two people, hitting you up. If you're not using the banner space like you should, change it. If you're not using your headlines as much, change it. The point of the fact, though, is you got to start.
Yeah, right. And if you've read Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about starting any new habits with miniature steps. You want to become a regular book reader, start with a paragraph, not even a page. Once you pick up that book and you read that paragraph, there's a good chance you'll keep reading. And it's the same with posting and interacting. You've got to get into a rhythm of it. So start small. I mentioned earlier when I tell someone who's just barely starting on LinkedIn, one invitation a day, at least for a week, but daily. Don't wait till Sunday and do 7. One a day. Make it a habit and then grow it over time, in which each invitation you get better at phrasing why you're connecting. And the same with posting. Start with comments. Start small. Comment on something you already have an expertise in. Somebody posts a list of 5 things, you can say, I love your list, but I don't quite agree with number 4. Or I really think you missed out by not having number 6 here, and this is why. Over time, you gain confidence, your comments get longer, and then you get to a point where now you're ready to post on your own. So it's stepping stones. Are you going to screw up? Yeah, but that's part of being authentic. We all make mistakes, and we learn more from our mistakes than from the things we do right in the first place.
Absolutely. Make those mistakes frequently, as often as you need, because you are always learning.
Right.
Right? You're never failing. You're learning, and you get back on your feet. You get back in the lane, and you take what you learned and you refine it, and you align with your audience, and you align with the message. And listen, it's about presence and not necessarily performance or perfection.
Yes.
Just start where you are, start with what you have. And I give the same advice for people who want to host events. It's like, well, I don't really have the tech. I don't have the budget for the tech. Well, start with what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the phone technology these days, everybody can start somewhere, right?
Hey, let's be perfectly transparent. We had some tech gremlins before we went live, and you were prepared to join the live stream off your mobile device.
Yes,
you
exactly.
you make do with what you have, and we were going to make it work, and it gets better. And if you have a small budget, then that's what you have. That's where you start. Don't wait until that you have budget for a mic and lighting, and it doesn't have to be extravagant. Just start and it will grow.
Yes.
I love the tech, and now I find myself, having given up other vices, redistributing those funds into tech. And but hey, I feel better for it. It's been quite some time since I gave up smoking. Mind you, if I go out today, I probably feel like I'm smoking 3-4 packs if I spend some 2 or 3 hours. Stay indoors, folks. Anyway, I digress. Listen, this has been a fantastic conversation. I want to thank you for being part of it. This will find its way into my school community. I'm going to repurpose and redistribute this content. This becomes a living, breathing exercise for members in my school community who get to see firsthand the power and the value of live streaming. And there's no better way to learn than by doing and seeing others do it. It's great. We can all build communities with how-to modules and put out ebooks with instructions on how to do it, but there's no better way than to sit back and watch someone doing it in real time, and being part of a community that welcomes and invites its members to practice and do it to themselves in real time. So anyone listening this late in the game, I try not to showboat or get on my soapbox too early, because this is your spotlight. But I host a community called Your Stage Live Studio. And those of you who are interested in live content and building a strategy around live content and redistributing and repurposing those assets, come hang out with us. And I look forward to welcoming those of you who are interested. Heike, once again, thank you so very much for being part of the conversation. Jay, as always, thank you for being my partner in this wonderful journey, this wonderful chapter of our lives. And we managed to keep the streak alive by connecting something with our guests. So I look forward to seeing how far we can keep this streak going, because this isn't planned. It just happens naturally.
Yeah, I'm no longer surprised. It's too funny now. Like every time there's a guest, it's like, wow, there's always a connection in either in my past or, something happening most recently. So yeah, it's
Oh, and
amazing.
I'm sure we could find more connections if
Oh,
we spent
absolutely.
more time together.
These are
We all
live.
have bookshelves in the background, so right there's some conversation to be had.
These are all live examples of the 3 degrees of separation that many of us have read in textbooks and been part of conversations. In fact, I think in this digital era, it's less than 3%. It's almost maybe 1, 2, if we want to be modest. But anyway, we can talk about that for another hour if we wanted to.
It depends on whether they're properly set up on LinkedIn or not.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, I'm going to close the room down. Thank everyone who stuck around and was part of this conversation live, and for anyone who is going to jump on and participate and engage in the replay. Look forward to engaging in those comments as well. Bye for now.
You've been carrying wisdom like a loaded page, years of miles, scars, lesson engraved. You did the work, you earned the view, but the numbers haven't followed you. You've got stories worth more than likes, vision sharper than a million mics. It's not about grind.